Okay, people, so it looks like we might potentially be seeing the inklings and the beginnings of the big and possibly even final villain of the Black Clover series as a whole, with the fourth sibling of the Zogratis, the older brother of the three Dark Triad members. And I ain't gonna lie, people, some of the things that is being said, some of the things that you can infer, it's looking mighty scary on who that brother might actually be of the Zogratis siblings, because if it is this person, if it is a couple of different people, regardless, whoever it may be, the fact that Yuki Tabata, the author of Black Clover, is actually shadowing this person out says and speaks massive volumes on what we're in store for the future of this series. But yeah, we got a lot to talk about, baby. Yuno once again going at it with Zenon, and seemingly the finale of this battle with that star magic, because he's hands down been throwing hands on the weekend because he's a star boy. Boom, boom. Yes, drumroll, please. That was a terrible joke. Let's do it.
No matter how you move, get it done. No matter how you move, get it done. No matter how you move, get it done. No matter how you move, get it done.
That's right, people. It's looking like we might be actually seeing potentially the final villain of the Black Clover series. And I gotta say something, right? Because a lot of people, including myself, I've been kind of just giving it a little bit of side eye at the very least regarding the villains in Black Clover as of late. Something in comparison to this arc that was done a lot more grandioso, and I just felt was a lot more foreshadowed and just had more layers of depth to it, was the previous villain that we had, the big enchilada of everything leading up to prior to this arc with Patri. Patri was a great buildup of a villain, everything that kind of led to him between, the mystery of William Vengeance and all of that jazz. Like, that was a very big deal, and it ultimately felt like, okay, this makes sense for him to be the big baddie, because with all the villains we've had leading up until him, it was like, they felt like they were nothing special. He was something big, he was foreshadowed, he was very important, he led into a whole different things, he was connected to so many different people just because of the fact of William Vengeance and just in general, the foreshadowing that was set forth before that. Since then, as much as I love the Dark Triad members for their badassery, especially Vonica, y'all know I simp for Vonica. I ain't Homer, I ain't Marge, but I be simping, son. I simp, son. At the very least when it came to Vonica. So Vonica was pretty freaking awesome. Dante, when he first arrived and he was like, yo, Vanessa over here, you mine, and he was kicking Major Tail everywhere, he was pretty freaking awesome as well. And then Zenon, when he just came and decimated the Golden Dawn and left Yuno for dead, that was epic as well. But none of them really showed any massive motive, and on top of that, they didn't really have any big connections to anything in like the Clover Kingdom or the characters that we know. And as things progressed, Zenon started to fade away from being that epic guy, and it was just like, oh fam, you took the L to Magna, as epic and as one of the best battles of this arc still at this point. You lost to Magna, fam. Move out the way. And then Vonica ultimately taking the L and Magicula having to take over. It was like, okay, time to move over. And now Zenon as well. Once we got the backstory between him and Alan and all of that jazz, he's definitely been more of a fleshed out villain, but still doesn't feel like an end game boss. And since Tabata started throwing in that fourth Zogratis sibling, this guy right here could very well be the key, and what we've been as Black Clover fans needing for this, what feels like second half of the story. If everything with Patri prior to that is the first half of Black Clover, then we're possibly in the second half or the final half, whatever you want to call it. And I feel like this fourth Zogratis sibling might be the key, because like you could throw in that, one of the devils, Lucifero, has been pulling strings, which technically Lucifero has been built up at this point, the connections to Asta's mom, Lucita, and all of that. Like, you could definitely throw in the argument that maybe Lucifero might be the big villain, but I would like to think that this Zogratis sibling, whoever he may be, which we're going to get into his identity in a little bit, I think that he could possibly play that role that Patri played, where it was like, yo, so it was this dude all along, he's been foreshadowed. There's a lot of things that they could play around with this guy, and again, he could possibly be the final villain of Black Clover. But going back to the beginnings of chapter 310, we have Yuno and Zenon, and they're still clashing, which I ain't gonna lie, the drawings was cool and all that jazz, but ultimately I feel like this would just look so much better if it was animated. And I don't know what plans, if they have any, to return the Black Clover anime someday, but just this battle in particular screams badly, this needs to be animated. This will look so much cooler if it was animated. Like, it just looks so fast paced, it looks so ambiguous with all of the bones and stars all over the place. Like, this would be really, really epic if it was animated. And I love that when Yuno hit Zenon with star magic flagellation. I know it ain't flagellation, I just like saying flagellation. When he hit him with star magic flagellum, and it was like a white whip made of stars. That shit was hype. I don't even think I've ever seen anybody come up with an idea like that. A magic whip made of stars. Like, I've heard of some crazy magical whips. Like, it kind of even brings me back, now that I think about it, of Kurama from Yu Yu Hakusho with his rose whip. Like, that was kind of epic. This is a star whip, a whip of stars that will literally slash through anything. Like, that is really, really epic of a power-up and really neat idea on Tabatsu's behalf. The moment that he slashed him with it, it kind of slashed him in half, but of course, because of that devil's heart, it's really, really difficult to take this dude down, because even though he slashed through him, he wasn't able to penetrate and destroy that devil's heart, which really showcases that shit. It must be made of, I don't know if anybody's familiar with the term from Dragon Ball, Kachin, I think it was called, Kachin. It was like the steel that nobody could break. Like, that's what that heart must be made of, because goddamn, yo, you just got hit with a whip of stars and it still wasn't enough to go through that devil heart. Then again, that also is really, really worthy of, hey, he sold his soul for this power. It shouldn't be taken away like that. You know, there should be a struggle to kill this guy if he did all of this to get that power. Because Zenon heals up once again and then uses bone spatial magic demon sword Daneslafe, I believe that's how you pronounce it. And basically, dude was like the bone collector with a demon sword, and it's like a combo of demon energy and bones, I'd imagine. And yeah, it kind of looked alright, cool, I guess. And I mean, it's strong enough because it starts tearing up space, so there's that. And it also looked like, at the very least, because there's been some arguments, I've seen some arguments thrown around regarding Yuno, and that people are just starting to get fed up with it feeling like he has more plot armor than Asta himself, the main character, which kind of feels like Tabata likes to throw in back and forth between, like, no, these are kind of co-stars opposed to Asta being the singular main character, especially when Yuno's on screen. But it did feel like, holy cow, he's broken. And even towards the end of the chapter, it was like, hey, feels kind of crazy what's happening with him. But at the very least, we're seeing some type of setback, some type of drawback to this insane power that Yuno is using, because Zenon comments like, yo, he can't block the attack because he can't regenerate stars right away. So at the very least, that's the drawback. Like, the stars take a while to return after he's using them and throwing them around, teleporting through all of that. So there's a weakness to it, and the madness that is the broken power that Yuno has with the star magic. It was said that, like, he's blessed by mana, and, you know, his wind magic made him OP throughout the series. Imagine, screw the wind magic, if he had the star magic from the very beginning, oh my god, like, he was already ridiculous with wind magic. The star magic is another level of broken. And right there is where it starts to break into the insanity of what's going down with potentially the final villain of Black Clover, because we get a dialogue that says, the weak die easily. It's impossible to protect them all. We'll destroy them temporarily and then regenerate them with undying bodies. Now, again, that's dialogue from the fourth Zogratis brother, or the fourth Zogratis sibling. And I ain't gonna lie, to me, when I first read that, one of the people that came to mind, which it wouldn't be an epic plot twist, it would be alright, but it does sound a lot like, is his name Rage or Rades? I forget how to pronounce it. The dude with the eye patch that was a part of the Eye of the Midnight Sun. And remember, it was that, I believe he was in the Clover Kingdom, and then he got thrown out for like 6 years, and then returned. Maybe he's technically a Zogratis sibling, if it could very well be Rades. He could have been the fourth Zogratis sibling in terms of like a surrogate or some sort, but then again, it also showed when Zenon was a kid, so I'm not sure how that would work. But that's kind of when he was saying those things about regenerating them and undying bodies and all that jazz, it sounded like Rades is magic. And it could be that whoever it is, whoever that Zogratis sibling is, their magic is similar, or their ideas is similar to his power. But that's what it brought me to. Like, that's essentially like the Walking Dead type of thing that he did in the Clover Kingdom all those years ago. And he says, with the double powers, we, the four Zogratis siblings, can use our magic to remake humanity. Which, it shows that of the siblings, like all of them, right? Like, again, going back, Vonica, she's like a Kenpachi. Zaraki, she's just a crazy battle-lusting psycho, so she doesn't really have big grandiose motives. Dante was like running around with a crown, but he really wasn't king-like, and at the end of the day, he was kind of even, I don't want to say childish, but childlike to a certain degree. And then we see now that Zenon has kind of been under the spell of this Zogratis brother all along. So he is the one out of all of them that actually holds reins for like a big motive to push along, and again to feel like end game boss at the very least, if it's not even of just Black Clover, of maybe all of this that's going on. Like, I don't think it's going to be Morris. Like, that's something that people are like, well, maybe Morris, because it hasn't been really hinted at. They don't show respect to Morris like they would of this Zogratis sibling. I mean, it's possible, but why even shadow it out if it's Morris all along? Like, that would kind of just be silly. So I'm hoping it's not Morris. It could be Rades, Raids, however you pronounce his name. And then there's somebody else that a lot of the fandom is running with, and it also would be insane. And at the same time, I don't know, it would either be massively dumb if it's done incorrectly, or it would be insanely genius and holy cow. Because a lot of people are looking at, well, what about if it's Julius? And there's been a few hints here or there that you could throw the argument with. Like, for starters alone, that magic symbol on his forehead, a lot of people are saying, what if that magic symbol was actually a pact that he had initially made? You know, I think it was, what, a star on his forehead between him and a devil. So there's that possibility. There's also little inklings of, like, in the anime opening, there was something where it showed a shot of like a bunch of captains, and there was 3 people in particular that had a black aura around them, and 2 of which those people were turned out to be bad guys. The previous captain of the Purple Orca, that Mayuri Kurasuchi looking over, William Vengeance, that turned out to be Patri and, you know, a traitor to the kingdom, and then Julius. Now, that's not the greatest of hints, because some people would throw the argument, well, that's the anime. At the end of the day, Tabata does have to give these people ideas and little heads up of what's to come. So he could have very well told him, like, yo, at some point Julius is going to be bad. I don't know when I'm going to reveal that, but hey, do what you wilt with that information. And maybe that's what led to that panel, which I still think that that's an insane catch. Shout outs to the people that caught that. Then also the fact of Julius being just a mystery still, and how many things that he knows, and his interests in battle and stuff like that. I mean, there's some things that you would have to throw in an argument of, okay, well, why was that Zogratis sibling in a wheelchair? How did he double back and forth? There's a lot of things that would need to be cleared, but I ain't gonna lie, out of all of them, that is one of the ones that really sticks out to me and would be the most interesting and the most exciting, of Julius being that Zogratis sibling. Also, think about it, the fact that he would want to be younger if he has these ideals of recreating the world through all of this madness, and essentially he's kind of righteous in a way. So like, this Zogratis sibling looks like he would be down to actually save the kingdom against somebody like, let's just say what happened with Patri and stuff like that, because he has his own idea of how he's going to change and save the world, so to speak. So he would play the part of what Julius has done, and on top of that, want to be young again so that he could carry out his plans moving forward. It would make us very unsuspectful of him. There's a lot of potential that it could be Julius. Another one that I've said in the past that I think would be a really good twist. It wouldn't be as exciting, but it would be up there. Damnation's obsession with devils and wanting to cast Asta out of there. Like, there's a lot of intrigue into Damnation, and then we had that whole devil filler arc where Damnation was on the trail again of those devil worshippers and stuff. So there's a huge possibility, and I'd like that, actually, thinking about it. The whole judgment scales, the fact that he feels like he's righteous enough to judge humanity, that would be insane. So the final villain of Black Clover, or at the very least the final villain of all of this Spade Nation Dark Triad situation with the 4th Zogratis sibling, right now what it's looking like, it could be Raids Rades, because he had a similar magic, has a similar magic to that. It could be Damnation, his righteous nature, him feeling like he has the authority to use the scales of justice. It could be Julius, that would be the most groundbreaking one. A lot would be needed to be explained, but I'd be here for it. Although I guess it would kind of make that it's been a farce all along, his bond with Yami and William Vengeance. There was a bond there, but still he wants to do what he feels is righteous for humanity as a whole. But amongst all of that, Zenon had that flashback thinking back to what his bro said of basically wanting to do all of this for the prosperity of the Spade Nation, the Spade Kingdom, wanting to essentially create a true to blue, his ideal Spade Nation, which is kind of crazy because wasn't the Spade Nation prior to the Zogratis siblings attacking and doing all that insane shit that they did, wasn't it already kind of peaceful? I guess maybe they didn't like the way King Lois was running stuff, but it kind of sounded like it was to me. It kind of sounds like this dude was maybe power hungry or something along the lines of that to start all of this. And I like the idea more and more now that I'm thinking of it, of this 4th Zogratis sibling, because it kind of just felt weird. Like, so these 3 siblings, the Dark Triad, they just one day were like, we're gonna just start running amok. stuck. It feels like, hey, if you got the battery that was put in their back, being that older brother, that kind of makes it a little bit more intriguing and like, oh, so this is why they went rogue. But once again, Yuno is running. He's saying it's time for this attack and that attack. At the end of the day, it's a decent battle. I want to say that. Like, yes, it feels like very convenient, everything that's just being handed to Yuno, this blessed by mana type of dude. But he uses Spirit of Boreas special rupture and he hits that dude with that freaking, what it looks like, a mace or an axe or whatever. He basically starts hitting Xenon again, basically going back and forth, which would be brilliantly done if it was animated. Like, it was cool. I want to see this animated. And even though he was once again able to slash through Zenon, it looks like you could see even Xenon's heart. It still wasn't enough to basically take him out. And Zenon notices like, yo, this is my chance. This is my time. He don't got no more stars. He can't teleport or defend. He has no way to take me out. This is it. Which, if this was his story, Zenon probably would have got the W right there. But unfortunately, well, not unfortunately, because I rock with it, you know, I take that back. Not unfortunately at all. Fortunately. And here's where we go into something that felt like Yuno just gets everything, you know, while Asta has to grind it out and Noelle, she struggles. Like, now Yuno also gets Saint Stage, which I don't know, I want to say he maybe had that already, but like, woo, Yuno, he's just in this fight alone, he's developed immensely. We had the King transformation that we seen he trained for, and then now we get the reveal of his second grimoire, the Star Magic, and then now he's in some Saint Stage, and I guess an explanation as to how that is really convenient. I gotta call it like I see it. Like, it's dope, it's epic. Yuno has been said to be blessed constantly. He's the plot loving guy, so to speak, but that's really convenient and kind of like, oh, come on, man. I would have just preferred, like, why we gotta add the extra sauce on it all, Tabata? Like, the Star Magic was really hype, because it says the Saint Stage is achieved when resonance between a spirit and its host are very close to 100%, and because Yuno was fighting this battle while on the brink of death for a decent amount of time, he was able to achieve it and ultimately granted the power to destroy a devil, which it's kind of funny, while we're getting all this information, how Zenon is blind to everything. Like, I guess maybe selling his soul, he also sold some of that common sense or something, because he like saying that he won, like, oh, I win. Like, what did you win? The Stupid of the Year award? Because the stronger the mage, more stars are born. And Yuno replies to Zenon that, you know, Zenon said, I win. He said, no, you mean we win. A la baby, little baby. Okay, we win. Like, yes, that's the groove, the mode that Yuno was on right there, fam. And he uses Saint Spirit of Zephyr, slashing through Zenon, seemingly slashing through his heart. Although I will say that I wouldn't be surprised if the fight ain't over just yet, because I mean, we didn't get clarification that Bell was helping him with the wind magic. Don't forget that Bell is inside of him, charging up essentially, and it could very well be that Bell is just charged up now and it'll be for a future battle, or it could be that there's still a little bit more to go with this battle with Zenon. It would be kind of crazy if the elder Zogratis sibling shows up and right as he's about to get killed, he saves his brother, kind of stops the battle, kills his brother at that. He's like, ah, you weak piece of move out the way. And then we get the big reveal on whoever the Zogratis sibling is. Like, oh, imagine it's Julius, and all along he never really was permanently a kid. This was just a ruse to fool everybody. That would be something crazy. But I'm very curious what you guys think. I guess the biggest question right now for me personally, I mean, we could throw in like, hey, do you think that Zenon is down and this is it? He really was finished off. His heart was slashed through. It's over against Yuno. Also, do you think it's too convenient, everything that Yuno's been granted in this battle? But the big one for me personally is, who do you think that final sibling of the Zogratis is? Is it Julius? Is it Raids? Is it Damnatio? Who? Is it somebody I didn't mention yet? And your thoughts and expectations where all this is going to go. It looks like the mystery is heating up in Black Clover. It's about to purposely shade it out, the final Zogratis sibling, and it's getting me hyped. But that's all I have for this one. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. If you liked anything I had to say or enjoyed the video, drop me a like. I'd greatly appreciate it. And if you want more from me, make sure to subscribe. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram. Hit that bell to get all notifications. And if you want to follow any of my other social media, links are in the description below. I'm ForneverWorld, and as always, people, have an awesome day. And remember the golden rule: anime and manga for life, boy. Have an awesome day. Peace and yeah, final Zogratis sibling. If it's Julius, oh my god, that's gonna be mind-blowing. It better make sense, but it'll be mind-blowing. Either way, I want to know who that dude is. You what I know, so
Get it